What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Gotta Get Back, the Samurai Jack and Review Show. Welcome to Project Potter. My name is Kyle, your host. If you haven't seen the show before, guys, we're going through every episode of Samurai Jack. We're doing a quick recap. We're doing a magic sword, which is a favorite character. We're doing a portal in time, which is the favorite scene. We're doing a score and some trivia and Easter eggs as well. With that being said, guys, welcome to episode 7 of season 1. And this one is, I think, one of the more famous episodes of Samurai Jack. I gotta be honest, it was a little disappointing the second time watching, or whatever time I've seen this, just because I think I remembered it so fondly, and it's still a really good episode, but a little less than I think I remembered. So with that being said, guys, we begin episode 7 with this really cool shot of the forest here. It's like got red leaves all around. It's like this golden hour kind of hue. And then this huge Viking army shows up, this huge Viking robot army. They're all marching unison. They've got like these green eyes. They almost look like villains, but covered in robot armor, but clearly Vikings. And there's one dude who's like, they have catapults, and there's like one really cool machine where it's like almost like a pod, and it's got like 4 blades that come down. And then there's one huge Viking ship that pulls up, and then there's like the only human Viking, and he's like the leader. And they pull up to this tower, and they're ready to go, and they have as much weaponry as you can possibly imagine. And he says, charge, and there's like a great shot, and then all of the robots go forward, the big catapult and everything. And it's like this one tower in the middle of a forest, and it's like this huge space, and it shows them all going forward. They get about halfway there, and it just starts raining arrows, like the most arrows you've ever seen, times 200. Like all the arrows come down, and it's just like one by one, the robots are just getting taken out. And it is just like unbelievable accuracy. Like they have absolutely no chance. And this is an army of like probably hundreds at this point. They're shooting the tires on the tanks. They're shooting inside the catapults to get the people operating those. There's like one guy who goes to like raise an axe. Arrows take his arm off. He raises the sword. Arrows take their arm off, and then they take off his head. So it's like, it's just insane. Like arrows to literally every single member in like within seconds, and then like arrows on their weapons after. So it's like within like minutes, if not sooner, an entire army is just wiped out. All that's left is like scrap, and the leader just can't believe it, and he manages to escape. But we slowly cut up, and it's the shot of the 3 archers behind me are just 3 shadowy figures with eyes, and 3 archers, and man, 3 archers were all that did it. And there's one great shot at the end where there's like one last robot looking up, and it's almost like he can't, his expression doesn't change, but he like can't believe it. And then the guy who lived, the leader, he's telling this tale at like an old bar nearby, and he's like, I've never seen anything like it. He's like, my whole army was wiped out so fast. He's like, they're perfect enemies or perfect warriors, whatever. And the guy at the bar is like, I think they're in like a ship, and he's saying like, well, what was so valuable in the tower? Was it gold? Was it rubies? And he's like, no, it could be nothing, could be material like that. He's like, at the top of that tower is a well where you can wish for anything you want. And of course, in the middle of this ship, there's an amazing shot where it's like Jack is wearing this hat. He's wearing like this in front of them, and he's listening. And then he's like, oh, are you telling old tales again? He's like, get out of Kong's chair or whatever. And he's like the janitor that's like working the ship now. But I mean, his story is true. That's like what we saw in the beginning was what happened to him. And so Jack is like, hey, is that place you were talking about, is that real? And he's like, of course it's real. He's like, we're passing it right now. And then they're looking at it, and it's just like the snowy like island. And Jack is like, and I can wish for anything I want. He's like, yep. And he's like, all right. And he's like, what are you trying to do? And he's like, oh, I'm trying to get home. And he's like, oh boy, there are other ways to get home. And he's like, not for me. And then he gets off in like a little canoe or a little ship there. And he takes that kind of like the little boat to the island, and it's really beautiful because it was like spring or summertime when we saw the opening, and this is winter time, so it's a good change. But Jack kind of goes in there, and he leaves his footprints there. There's a really cool shot of like someone leaving a go back with like a skull on the tree there, which he sees, and then he approaches the tower, and it's like a slow-mo shot. They do the horizontal cut, which I liked so much last episode, and it's just Jack in the tower, and he sees like the remains of all the robots, and all the arrows are in them, and it's just a desecration. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. But he takes one step, and there's an arrow that goes between his big toe, and then he spreads his toes at the last second because 3 more arrows come down. And so these archers are like all over him, and he goes to slowly take one more steps, and then pulls it back, and then the arrows go in there, and he's like, oh, and Jack's got this determined look on his face, and the 3 archers kind of reveal themselves. They get Jack really quick, and they kind of like pin up his shirt against the tree. And then there's like a 4th arrow that's coming right towards his face, and it's going. And then there's like a commercial cut, which I thought was weird because I was watching just the Blu-ray. So they like stop it, and then it's like an old classic like TV cut. And then it comes back to him, and it's come back at him, and he like sheathes his sword at the last second. So it's literally like coming up, and the arrow hits it, and it splits 2 ways, and it's so cool. And then like within that time frame, he gets his sword, turns around to the other side of the tree, and like goes in coverage, but then the arrows still hit right next to his face and like go through the tree. So he's like surprised at that, and he can't believe how accurate they are. So yeah, Jack like goes out, and he's like, all right, let's try this again. And he's just getting covered in arrows, and he's like rolling so much. He throws his hat. He like throws his hat to see, and they shoot the hat. So he gets a sense that like they can't see, they can just hear. And so he thinks back, he goes back to like a waterfall, and he's sitting there, and he's like meditating, and he goes back to like one of his trainings where he was blindfolded, and he was fighting with like some of the other members, and they're kicking him down, and he's like, this is stupid, nobody can fight like this. And the sensei tells him like, to be a true master, you have to master all of your senses. Like a true warrior masters all of their senses. He's like, try again. And Jack's like, all right. So he puts on the blindfold, and then eventually like, he learns. So then we get a really cool shot of like a black background, and it's like, there's like a doe in the field, and it's like making a line, eating the grass, and all we can see is just black, and then that, whatever he's listening to. So that's kind of an indication that Jack is like honed in on the senses. So we get a couple of really cool shots there. It's like up to the birds, and then the branches there. That's really cool. And then like the water's running, the snowflakes falling, and the sound is really great in this episode. But Jack shows up to the tower, and he's wearing nothing but like it looks like a diaper, but it's like I don't even know what to call it. They're like tidy whities, but obviously there's a cooler name for it. But it's that, and the blindfold, and the sword, and he's sitting there. And then we get a look at the archers, and they're obviously not shooting at him because they can't see him. They can only hear him, and he knows that. And so he starts running, and it zooms in on his ear, and he's just locked into those arrows. So now they're firing, and Jack just like dodges them. And they're firing like hundreds of arrows or dozens of arrows at a time. And then like you see their ears perk up, and Jack's just now dodging all of them because he can hear them before they are coming at him. So there's some really cool shots where it goes up above the tower, and it's like Jack coming down, and the arrows are just missing, and they like can't believe it. So like they kind of spread out, and then you just see all their ears perking up, and you can tell they're like listening, and they have no idea where Jack is. And it's like, oh, this is the first time they've really been challenged. So Jack ends up jumping up to the tower, getting up to the tower, landing on the tower, and then the 3 of them turn and they fire at him at the same time. He hears all of those, and he ducks at the last second, which causes all 3 arrows to split and then actually redirect back to all 3 of them. And then we find out that this actually like electrifies them, and it lifts a curse. And there's like this black goo that like drips down, and there's like 3 guys or 3 men underneath it. And the guy's like, oh my God, I can see. And his eyes like pop back in. And they're like, you freed us from this curse. Like, I can't believe it. How can we thank you? And he's like, I came here to wish upon the well. And they're like, the well is all yours. But we saw the black goop like go into the well. And so it's just covered, and that well is no good. So Jack goes over there, and then he's like about to wish to return back home. And then the guy says, wait, we must tell you, like, every wish comes with a price. So he's like, we fought so hard to get to this tower. we wished at the well. And then, you know, what happened is that we wished to be the greatest warriors, and we were that, but we lost our mind and our vision. So he's like, there, you know, it comes with a price, just so you know. And so Jack hears that and he goes, well, you know what, dude, this well is not going to cause evil or be a demon to anyone else. And he takes his sword and he stabs it into the well, and it like shoots up, and all the goop like disappears into the air. It's a really, really cool shot. And it's amazing. And the warriors are talking about him as he leaves. And they're like, wow, what a great warrior. He's like, they're like such sacrifice. And it's like, so once again, dude, Jack could have gotten away home, although this one was a little more risky than like last episode when he was in space, when he could have gone there. But he's like, this isn't the way to get home. Like, he knows. So he's like, it's not worth the price, because he's like, if he wished to go home, he probably would have got home, but would it have been destroyed or something? He would have probably wasted the wish or something terrible. Like, he could have lost his vision or senses. So yeah, once again, Jack sacrifices a chance to go home so he can save people. And he didn't even mean to save these archers. He was really just kind of going for his own mean, but that's how the episode ends. So for Magic Sword, guys, it's the 3 archers. They're super cool. I mean, the idea of having 3 blind archers that are so keen on sound and so deadly and like the ultimate warriors is interesting, because like, even if you figure out that they're blind, and like Jack had to do the work to get in there, and so it's like you can't anticipate. You have to master your sense of hearing just to get close to the tower. So that's why so many armies came up with the numbers, and they were all just decimated. So yeah, they're really cool. That it's a really cool idea, and I really like that Gendy went with something different. I think this is one of the more popular episodes of Samurai Jack for sure. So for A Portal in Time, for this one, there's a couple really beautiful shots. I really like the opening bar scene where Jack has his hat down like this. That just looks awesome. But I have to go with the fact when he's up against the tree and the 3 arrows have been pinned to the tree, and then at the last second he sheathes his sword in the air so that the arrow splits 2 ways. That was super, super cool. So that's going to be my favorite scene, or my Portal in Time for this week. Okay, so for a score, guys, I know I said at the beginning of the episode that I was a little disappointed in rewatching this one. But then, of course, as I was talking about it, I was like, okay, well, I guess this is a pretty beautiful shot, and this is pretty cool. With that being said, I'm going to give this one an 8.8. It's a really good episode. It's a really cool idea. I thought there was a little bit more to it. It really is just Jack kind of like quickly overcoming. I know they only have a 23-minute episode, so they can't spend too much time on Jack's training, but I would have liked to see a little bit more, instead of just like one flashback scene and then him just being like, oh, I've mastered my hearing. But it's like, if he had mastered the hearing before, he would have known that the first time he went to the tower. So I don't know, I'm just nitpicking there, but still a really strong episode. A cool idea that, you know, he frees them, because, you know, these could have just been like demons or whatever, but it's like there were 3 men under there that he freed. So that was really cool. And yeah, just a solid episode overall. Okay, so for Jack facts this week, guys, we have just one. And this is an interesting one, because this Jack fact is just, this is the 7th episode of the series. But for some reason, it actually aired a week before episode 5, which is Jack in Space. I don't know why, but that is the trivia we got for this week. That's the Jack fact. So interesting that they aired episode 7 before episode 5. Maybe they were trying to hook people. I don't know, but Jack in Space was a really awesome episode too. So I don't know. It's weird that they posted those out of order, but it was 2001 and that's just what happened. So that's your Jack fact for this week. All right, guys, that's another episode of Gotta Get Back. Thank you for joining me. My name's been Kyle, as it will always be. Yeah, thanks for checking out Project Potter, guys. Go check out the other content on the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification. This has been episode 7, guys. We're making our way through season 1. There's only 13 episodes in each season, I think, at least for the first few. So we're getting there, but it's been a good journey. And Jack continues his journey, and so do we. And until next time, guys, gotta get back.